Jones, and where Tennessee goes from here, we turn to Austin Price of VolQuest, who joins us on the phone. And Austin, people have been expecting this decision for the better part of 2 months now, but why now? And why not a month ago when there was still a season to be salvaged, or just waiting to the end of the season at this point?
Well, I think that the way the game played out Saturday night, Steve, it just kind of left John Currie with a no-win situation. You're honoring your 1997 SEC champions on Saturday against LSU. To roll Butch Jones back out there, you run the risk of, the fans not being there in full force. The team seemed disinterested in the second half. It just seemed like, after Kentucky may have been a good time, last night was definitely the time to pull the trigger on Butch Jones. John Currie made the move, and then made the move this morning officially when he talked with Butch Jones.
Now, Butch Jones turned this program around from the depths it had reached under Derek Dooley, but it had definitely spiraled out of control over the last year or so. Where in your mind did things go so wrong?
Well, you go back a year ago, and the loss to South Carolina after the bye was a huge blow to winning the East. And, if Tennessee had made it to Atlanta a year ago, I don't think, I think Butch could have probably survived the year that they've had this year. And then the loss to Vanderbilt, I thought, was really kind of the beginning of the end, for Butch Jones. You didn't know that initially because, there was some off-season changeover with the coaching staff, and there was some hope coming into this year. But you go back, if Tennessee wins that game, they go to the Sugar Bowl, they go to New Orleans, a place they've not been since 1991. The fan base, I think, really started to turn on Butch Jones when he lost to Vanderbilt again. And it's something that the fan base around here is not used to. They've lost 3 of their last 5 to the Commodores, and in 2 weeks could be 4 of 6. And, you go back 20 years ago, no one would have ever taken odds on that to ever happen in our lifetime. And Vanderbilt's progressively gotten better. Obviously not the year they wanted to have this year, but they've still gotten better under James Franklin and Derek Mason. And so for me, I think you go back to the last year, those 2 losses, when it all kind of started to unravel a little bit, and then it kind of spiraled this year.
John Currie said, bottom line, Butch Jones just did not win enough, and that's why we got to this decision today. Brady Hoke now named the interim head coach. What can we expect from him, this coaching staff, and the team over the final 2 weeks now?
I mean, you'd like to think that the team will be kind of reinvigorated a little bit. They'll have a little bit more juice, but I just don't know how much juice they can have. Offensive line, unless they can get back Drew Richmond or Brett Kendrick, both of which have missed the last 2 games, and potentially Coleman Thomas, Tennessee will roll into Saturday's game against a very good defensive front at LSU. If they do anything well, it's grow defensive linemen in that state of Louisiana. With 5 scholarship offensive linemen, 4 of the 5 are redshirt freshmen or true freshmen. That's a recipe for disaster. Tennessee, whether they have Garantano back or not, going to struggle to run the football, going to struggle to make plays on offense, just can't score, and that ends up being likely another loss come Saturday night.
Of course, now everybody wants to know who the next coach will be. John Currie begins a national search immediately for that coach. With the early signing period and recruiting now looming in December, what do we know about who Tennessee should have its eye on?
I think they'll have their eye on Dan Mullen. He's a coach at Mississippi State who seems like he's hit a little bit of a ceiling. And if you're Dan Mullen, you got to decide: are you okay with winning that big game every now and again, and winning just enough in Starkville, or do you want to win big and potentially getting out of the Western Division, shifting over to the East where it is far easier right now, even though Georgia has gotten better? I think that makes some sense. Outside of that, guys like Jeff Brom, the head coach at Purdue, Brent Venables, the defensive coordinator at Clemson. You'll hear several names bannered about for the Florida job, for the Tennessee job, and other jobs that come open over the next few weeks. It'll be the same list of